Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video we're going to learn how Python works. If you are a beginner, this video is definitely for you because we are going to start from the very beginning of Python. Now in this video we're going to talk about variables. Variables are containers that store our data types, that store values. Now that's why when we declare a variables, we declare them and set them to a value. Now we can start with a single variable. Now we can say my var equals to 5. We can also use single letters as our variables. We can also say x equals to 2 and y equals to 3. One thing to note is that variables can change. We can also say x equals to 5, then print x. When we print this on the console, we see x is automatically updated to 5. Now we can do a simple trick. In order to print 2, we can say print x immediately as we declared x equal to 2. So we can see 2 is printed on the console. So that's the little trick there. Now in this video we're going to talk about comments. Comments are lines of code, or they are block of code that are not executed. They can also be used to describe what a block of code will do. Now we're going to print. This will be printed on the console. This line of code will be printed on the console. Then we're also going to print I am a comment. I'm going to put a hashtag symbol in front of the print statement there. Now you can see this will be printed. It's printed on the console. Now this is because the fourth line of code was commented out. Now the second duty of a function is to describe what a block of code does. Now let's say this block of code will be printed as we have written on the comment, and also write this is not printed. Now this block of code won't be printed as we have seen earlier. Now in this tutorial we're going to talk about data types. What's a data type? Data types are values that are stored in variables. Any value you store in a variable is called a data type. In Python we have different data types. Let's start with strings. String is a data type that is stored in a variable which is inside a quote. It can be a double quote or a single quote. Now we are declaring a variable I am a string to x, then we print x. So I am a string will be printed on the console. So let's run that. I am a string is printed on the console. Now we can also declare another variable. Okay, we declare a variable. Let's not write a comment now. We declare a variable, also call it x. Then we use a single quote. Then write another string. Then also print this out on the console. You see, I am a string and another string is being printed on the console. Now we're going to talk about the next data type, which are the integer and float. Both of them are used as numbers in Python. So integer is a number, is a negative or positive number without a decimal point. So we set x equal to 9. Then print the value of x. Then set x again equal to 9.6. This is a float. A float is a number with a decimal point, a negative or positive number. So we won't print that. We'll see 9 and 9.6 on the console. Now we talk about the next data type, which is a boolean. A boolean takes only two values, which are the true and false. Now boolean are mostly used with condition statements. Now we set x equals to true, then y equals to false. Then we can print x here. And also, okay, let's run that. You can see true. Now we are going to talk about the last data type in this tutorial, but this is not the last in Python, but we're going to talk about none. In the coming video we'll talk about the other data type in Python. None is used to set a value to none, just none. Then we'll print x, none. Now what to do next, we'll talk about the type operation. The type is used to know the type of variable we declared, to know the type. So as we printed there, print type x, it's going to print string str. As you can see, str is being printed, type str. Now when we print the type of x here, below where we declared x equals to 9, we're going to see int. That stands for integer. See, class int. Now we're gonna print x, the type of x, immediately after we declared it to true. So we see class bool. That's a boolean. Okay, let's print the type of x when it's a float. Okay, we also see float. And also let's print the type of x when we set it to none. We also see none type. So in this video we're going to talk about function. You can see a function is written down here. We created the function, then we called it. Function is divided into two parts. You write a function, then you also call a function. Now you can see hello world is being printed. When we write a function, we give it a name, which is func1. Now we inside the function we write the block of code that we want to execute. Now let's run this again. You can see hello world and hi is being printed on the console. So from this we can say that function is a block of code that does a specific task. It also helps our code to be more cleaner and also help us to use or reuse a code multiple times. Now function returns a specific value, but not all the time you have to return a value from a function, but most times you should return a value from a function. Now in this function we are returning good day. I'm sorry, my console there is not working very well. Now you see good day is not printed on the console because we never printed it. Anything you return should be printed. So you can see I'm writing print there, so good day is being printed on the console now. Now let's see this well. Okay, good day is being printed now. Now note that after you return anything, no other thing should be written under the return statement because it's not going to be executed. You can see print something was not printed on the console. Now that's it for calling a function. Now we're going to create a function with a parameter. What I mean is that inside those two parentheses we're going to put a variable. Those variables are called parameter. You can put more than one variable, but in this case I'm going to put a variable there. Then when we call the function, we're going to pass in an argument. What you are passing is called argument. So we pass in hello. So hello, inside that function we said print x. So hello will be printed. As you can see there, hello was printed. We can also return x and add hello. We can also return x and add word to it. Then remove that print statement there. We can print this out. Remember, we are using a return, so we have to print it out. So we can see print that we can see hello world, but is inside is being brought out as a tuple. So let's change that to a normal string. Now let's create a function with two arguments, now with two parameters. Now let's try this. If y, we say print true, we can pass in a boolean as an argument to a function. So that's why we're using if y. That is, if true, print true, else print not true. So we're going to pass in true as an argument there. So one thing to note is that what is written under a return statement will never be printed. So we have to remove that return statement from the top and take it to the bottom. So you can see there it works because we took the return statement to the bottom. You can also say return true and return not true. Now in this tutorial we're going to talk about if, elif, and else. These are conditional statements. Now to use them we have to use Boolean data type. Now like we said before, Boolean data type are used with conditional statements. Now we're going to say we're going to declare variables, set them to true and false, and also declare values of numbers. Then we'll say if a is equal to true. These are to write a conditional statement. You say if a is equal to true, then you do whatever you want to do inside that if statement. Then you indent your if statement. Then you print whatever you want to print. Sorry, my editor is not working well. Let me run that again. So we can also say if a equals to false. We can also say print high. So that will never be true there. That's when we have to use the else statement. Else print let's print hello. We can just say if a, let's not use equal to statement again. Let's say if a, because we are just going to check if true, that statement will be printed. If b, so false will be printed. Now let's check if x equal to y. We use the double equal to sign if we want to check equality. We'll print equal, then we'll say else print not equal. So let's run that. Let's change the value of y. Let's see what is going to happen. you see not equal will be printed. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about nested if statements. But before we talk about that, I'm going to show you an example of if statement like we did in the previous tutorial. This is an example of if statement. You just say print if b, that is if b is equal to false, print this. If b is false, this statement will never be printed. So print sentence, print sentence 1, then we'll say else. Then let's do the nested if statement now. Then we say else if a, print sentence 2. So this is an example of a nested if statement. You see after else we went down and wrote another if again. If a print. So what do you think will be printed on the console if we print this? Actually, sentence 2 will be printed because the first if statement was false. So sentence 2 is being printed on the console. Now we can shorten this to an elif statement. We'll copy that. I'll paste it there. Instead of using else and if, we'll just combine it with elif. Elif a. Elif is the short form of else if. Elif a print sentence 2. So sentence 2 is also printed. That's just a simple logic for nested if statement. Now in the next tutorial we're going to talk about while loop and for loop. Just talk about loops in Python. Now these are basics of conditional statement. You can wrap your head around it so you get the full picture of how it works. Just keep practicing. Alright guys, in this video we're going to talk about loop. Now we're going to start with for loop. Now for I in range, wherever range you want, 10, gonna print a specific value. So loop is a block of code that runs for a specific condition, but a for loop do not necessarily need a condition. It iterates through a list. We call those lists iterables. So a range is an iterable, so it iterates and prints every value of that iterable. Now a while loop runs for a specific condition when that condition is always true, so it keeps running. It's different from a for loop that runs, that iterates through an iterable. So gonna print I. This block of code does the same thing as the for loop. So we're gonna increment I. That's the difference between a while loop and a for loop. So let's run that. That's value there. So that's it, guys. It's been a long video, so you can subscribe for more.